All right, I got a little more work done to the car. Not a whole lot. I still got to clean my carpets from where I was stepping in them, but I did get my seats installed. Got those tracks cleaned up. Got that all taken care of. So that's progress. Like I say, I still have to clean the carpets, from where I was stepping in them. I hung my mirror, and evidently it's still too cold, and the mirror fell off. So the glue didn't hold. So I'll have to go ahead and do something about that and move along. But tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and for me, I've been sick the last couple of days, fighting a really, really nasty cold. So I don't see me getting a whole lot done on the car, which all I've got to do now is bleed the brakes, get that mirror hung up, and get a battery in it. And for some reason the other day I pushed the clutch in and the clutch didn't come back up. So I don't know if the spring came off or if I need some grease for my clutch assembly down there, but I'll get this up on the lift and check it when I feel a lot better. But I thought I'd just give you an update. And a couple videos back I had posted about classic car owners and their good intentions and actually turning their cars into scrap. I've got some more stories I'm going to tell you. It's going to be coming here in just a second. So I'll be right back. Okay, a couple of videos back, I noticed that was pretty popular, me talking about past car experiences and how classic car owners who have good intentions literally let their cars become scrap. Well, give you a little background. I can remember being 7 years old and helping my dad put bell housing bolts in and torque converter bolts. Dad had me under the car. I had small hands. I get up underneath there to put the flywheel bolts in. He couldn't reach it. So I just stayed underneath there and helped him with it. And my dad only worked on cars out of necessity. Back in his day, and most people's day, you just don't have the money it takes to pay mechanics to do your work. So you had to learn it yourself. So that's how I got into the car thing. I look at it as a blessing and as a curse. I can't seem to get cars out of my system. It really sucks financially because I'm irresponsible and all my extra money I spend on cars and car parts, but I'm pretty happy with it. My wife doesn't seem to be too upset about it most of the time. And like I keep telling her, hey, they're investments. When I'm gone, sell them all, enjoy your life. So right now I'm just enjoying mine. But looking back at my cars, I've owned, since I was 15, I was buying cars. And I've owned 198 cars. 2 more to go to 200. But some were scrapped, some were parts cars, some were fixing them up and flipping them. That's what I did. I've had some really nice cars, and I've had really some junk cars. But anyway, one of the stories I was thinking about the other day was a friend of mine and myself. We would drive down a highway to another town, and on the side of the road was a ran down house and barn that probably had 20 or 30 cars sitting out there in the field. And my buddy had a 66 Impala convertible. And in this field, there was a 66 Impala. And he needed parts and stuff, and he thought, hey, I'd like to buy that, maybe fix it up. He had a couple old, like 68, 69 Cudas out there, but most of it were pickup trucks, your average Ford, Chevy pickup trucks, some grain trucks, nothing spectacular. So my buddy decided he's going to stop. So he stops, he knocks on the door, and the older man comes out to the door. He says, yeah, what can I do for you? And my buddy says, well, I was wondering if that Impala's for sale. And something switched in that guy's attitude right away. He instantly went on the defense. He was yelling at my friend going, do you see a for sale sign in that car? And my buddy's like, no. He goes, I just thought maybe you want to sell it. And he goes, there's no for sale sign in it because I'm not selling the damn thing. He goes, I'm sick and tired of people stopping and wanting to buy my stuff. He goes, can't I collect cars like the rest of you? Can't I have cars sitting around? My buddy goes, but you're not doing anything with them. They've been here for years. And the guy said, well, it's none of your damn business. They're my cars. I can do whatever I want with them. And my buddy started getting defensive, and I told him, let's go. Let's go. And I told the guy, hey, thanks for your time. You know, let's go. And he goes, yeah, you guys need to get the hell out of here. And we left. And my buddy's like, I never met anyone so ruder. I said, you're on a highway. He probably gets 20 people to stop a day trying to buy these cars from him. So, of course, he's going to be upset and mad. Well, that was 25 years ago easy, maybe longer. And in that 25 years ago, somewhere in the past 10 years, maybe 8 years, I've gone to that town many times, but on my way over there, about 8 to 10 years ago, everything was gone. All the cars were gone, the house was gone, the barn was gone, everything was leveled. There was nothing there. The following year, there was a new house put up there with a new garage and everything. So I'm pretty sure all those vehicles went to the scrapyard. You know, the older gentleman probably passed away or went to a nursing home, and his family got rid of everything. You know, I hope the Cudas got saved and the Impala, but sitting out there all them years, I'm sure they were all scrapped out, destroyed. End of story, you know. It's kind of sad to see that. That's what I had talked about before. Everyone has good intentions. After my two videos ago, talking about scrap cars, one of my cousins reached out to me, and I guess I struck a nerve. His dad has a pretty nice Ford pickup truck, 4-wheel drive. I don't know the exact year. If I was guessing, I'd say 78, 79, 4x4. He put lift kit on it. Best looking truck in town for years and years. Well, in the last 15 years, he doesn't even drive as far as I know. I mean, it still sits on the side of the street. It gets moved somewhat. And I hear he bought rust-free cab, rust-free fenders, doors, whatever. And he has them all stored away. That was 12 years ago that this stuff's been stored away, and his truck's sitting there. And my cousin reached out to me about, you know, hey, you're right. We really need to do something with that truck. We need to restore that, you know, so Dad can enjoy it again. And that brings up another part of the equation. I don't work on other people's vehicles. You know, it's not that I can't. It's just that I don't feel like I've got control over the vehicle. You know, they're telling me what I should be doing, when I should be doing it, how much money I need to put in it, you know, where to skimp, where to, hey, just put a patch in that rusty hole and let's forget about it. And that's not how I work. So mostly I work on my own vehicles, and there's a reason for that. I painted cars for people in the past. And you got different kinds of customers. You got the one customer that you throw a paint job on there, you got orange peel in it, and you think it looks like crap, they think it looks great. And then you got the other customer, you put a paint job on there, and you think, wow, man, that thing's nice. And they find the smallest flaws that they want fixed in the entire car. You know, and it just, very time consuming. I had one guy that painted his car. All he wanted was the same color, no jams, nothing painted, just the outside repainted, nothing pulled off, everything masked, because he didn't want to take an emblem or anything off this car. And that's what I did. Well, the next day, after I got it all done, he took ownership of it. He came back and he's complaining that his door handle fell off the door on the inside. And I said, well, I don't have anything to do with the inside. And he's like, you know, you broke it. Well, I replaced the little clip on the back and put the door handle back on. And he said, fine. He left. A couple of days later, he came back and started complaining his door, glove box door on the passenger side wouldn't stay lashed. I'm like, I was never in your glove compartment. I was never even on the passenger side. But he insisted that I had broke something. And that was the last straw where I decided I wasn't going to do this as a business. I could care less about customers. You know, I'm the only customer. I'm the one that matters. So I do my own cars, like this one. You know, my wife helped me put the bird on. And for us, it was the first time working together, putting a big-ass decal on a car. I knew it wasn't going to be 100% perfect. We're not professionals. And there are flaws in that bird. And I'm more than happy with the looks of that bird. I'm more than happy with what we accomplished. You know, most people are only going to see you driving down the road anyhow, and the ones at car shows who's going to be open are going to be looking at the motor. I love it, so I'm very happy with it, so I'm satisfied. You know, it's things like that that turn me off from working on other people's cars. Now, I painted a car for my brother, and he wanted it midnight blue. Well, after painting it with the paint he had bought, which was a really dark, dark blue, the car looked black. And out in the sun, you could see the blue. But in a building or in the shade, it was a black car. He was very upset about that. And there's absolutely nothing I could do about it. You know, I said, I'm sorry, you know, you got the paint, you got the colors, I just lay it. And then he started telling me that I used the wrong primer underneath it. I put too many layers of paint on it. That's what made it so dark. You know, and it could be. I don't know. But I thought, man, here I just spent 2 months doing all this body work, replacing quarter panels on this car, fixing the holes in the floors, painting everything, the jams, everything. And he's complaining about how I painted the car. And that was kind of a turn off for me again. So now it's just me and my cars. I just can't do it for other people. It's just impossible. You know, I've had some really nice cars. I really like this car. I think this car's nice. I used to have a Formula 400, 4-speed Firebird, 1970 and a half, Ram Air. Love that car. Traded it for a pace car, Trans Am pace car. Worst decision of my life. I should have kept the Formula, but I didn't. You know, it's just the way it is. Another car that comes to mind is down the road here, about a half a mile, is a housing addition. And at the very end house of the housing addition, there's a 78 Firebird. No, it's not a Trans Am, it's just a Firebird. I tried buying that car 10 years ago, and I was told it's not for sale. The person that lives there's son's friend owns it. They pulled the motor out, totally disassembled it in the garage to rebuild the motor. The car's still sitting there with no motor in it. From what I understand, the parts are still scattered in the garage. You know, that motor's probably pretty well junked by now if they didn't keep it oiled and stuff and keep things, the cylinders and stuff clean. But I get asked a lot, people that stop here, hey, why haven't you bought that Firebird down the road? I said, they don't want to sell it. It's going to get fixed up someday. There's that someday again, you know? So it's still sitting down there. It's still rotting. Even my wife says, I can't believe they're not doing anything with that car. And you know what? It's their car. They can do whatever they want. But I do see its future in a scrapyard because someone just refuses to let it go. Now I've owned, like I said, 198 cars. And I've owned a little bit of everything. I've had Mustangs, 65, 6, 7, 68, 69 Mach 1. I've owned all those. Now, I've only finished one of my 66s. I finished the 67 for my stepdaughter, and her and I were together as we rolled it. So that was a total. It's the way it went. It went to the scrapyard. I couldn't fix that car. You know, it had really, really been bad. Never could return it. I've owned Volkswagens, you know, several of them, but never really could get into a Volkswagen. I don't know why, I just can't get into Volkswagens. I've owned Ford trucks. I've owned Chevy trucks, GMC trucks. I've owned Impalas. You know, GTOs and Trans Ams are my big thing. I've owned at least a dozen 69 GTOs, and I've had a couple 68s. I even had a 70 Judge, which I liked, but it had been hit really, really hard, and it really tweaked the frame and everything out of it, and I could never get it right, even after taking it to a frame shop. So I ended up selling that off, and I found out later on the guy that bought it pulled the original motor out of it and put a Chevy motor in it because it was more reliable, and then sold the GTO Ram Air motor, which was the biggest mistake he should have thought he ever made. I had Cadillacs. You know, I had a 61 Cadillac DeVille, 2-door. fantastic car. Sitting in body shops from 1967 until I bought it. It was wrecked down one side, and the body shop had ordered new quarter panel, new door, new fender for it. And the owner says, you know what, I don't even want the thing back. I'm buying my wife another Cadillac. Ended up replacing it and giving the car to the body shop for the cost of having what they had fixed. Well, I purchased it and I finished it up. And I love that car. That was so smooth driving, so cool driving. I like that thing. My father-in-law would actually come down on weekends and ask if he could take the car out, him and his wife, and go cruising. I said, yeah, it's on the garage. Go ahead, take it. And they even took it to car shows. He came back with awards, and I'm like, what the hell? I take it to car shows. I don't win crap. You guys take it. You come back with awards. That's nuts. And they liked it. And one day I was selling my 55 Cadillac, which needed completely restored. And a guy seen the Cadillac and said, hey, I'd like to buy that too. And he made me a crazy offer and I let it go, which is another car I regret selling. One of the best stories I have is I was looking at a 49 Mercury out east, and I thought, wow, that looks pretty cool. It was out in Fairfax, Virginia. And I convinced my wife, hey, I'm gonna borrow a trailer. We're gonna go out there to Virginia. We're gonna look at this, and I think I might buy it. And we drove all the way out there. And we stayed someplace on the way there. Well, the next day we got there, and the owner was selling his house for $4 million. And he wasn't even there to show me the car. He actually had his mechanic meet me to actually get the car out of the garage and for us to test drive it. And we took it for a test drive, and I thought, God, this thing rides like a log wagon. Of course it does. It's a 49 lead sled. Why wouldn't it? Wouldn't it run rough? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want this car. So I decided I wasn't going to buy it. Well, when I'm sitting there negotiating with the mechanic, the owner showed up. And he said, oh, you're just trying to talk me down. I'm like, no, I am not trying to talk you down. I just don't think this car's for me. I'm a muscle car guy. Lead sleds aren't my thing. I thought it would be, but after driving it, you know, it's stiff, it's bouncy, it just has no handling capabilities. And he said, well, lead sled, you're supposed to look good going slow. And he's right, you know, lead sled, you look good going slow. And then my wife chimed in and said, man, you're crazy for not buying this car. I love this car. And I said, fine. I handed her the check and said, if you want the car, you buy the car. So she handed the check to the guy and said, we're taking it. And it came home with us. And my wife and I have enjoyed that car, but everything needed work every time I drove it. It was just terrible for me. My wife loved it. The attention we got was unbelievable. Car shows, we went all the time. First show we ever took it to. Huge show, 200 some cars. And she won best of show. And it was a 6-foot trophy that I literally had to take apart in the parking lot just to put in the car. And you've never seen someone smiling so much. So I think she got hooked on the car scene after that. But down the road, it just got to be too much to keep it maintained. It was always something needed fixed, something needed replaced. And I told her, I said, I don't even like the car. It's just too much. It's hard to drive. And we sold it. And my wife regrets that today. I don't, but she definitely does. I have no idea where the car went. The guy that bought it from me told me that he lives overseas in China. He only comes to the States maybe a month out of the year. So I have a feeling that car went to China. So we've never seen it again. I've never seen it anywhere, any shows or anything. So it may have gone to China. So that's the end of that story. But I have so many more I can share with you down the road here. Maybe I'll share some more. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. Like I said earlier, I'm not feeling up to the weather. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and I'm just gonna go find me some cold medicine and chill out in the house and stay warm and watch some car shows. Thanks for watching. Later.